The following program is rated D for dumb.
Baby left me, my best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the brooding kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Dave Canyon. Are you ready to dumb it down? Well, that's excellent because we have a lot to do today. We need to get really dumb. We need to get really down. Yeah, we got to get down with the dumb. Got to get down with the dumb. It is Dave Canyon. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Dum Dums. It's a term of endearment for those of you who are new to the show. Welcome, Dum Dums, to the Dumbcast. It's a Dumbcast, in a carcast, and a podcast, 3 in 1. And it is a December 7th Sunday. Is it afternoon already? It is. It is December 7th Sunday afternoon. I'm leaving a little bit late. I got caught in a vortex. I did a little extra work today, somewhat reluctantly, but I don't want to go down that road. I was really a little bit angry. I was bummed out a couple of hours ago, but I got it done. It was a lot of work, problems, issues, obstacles, unbelievable. But I got it done, and then I got caught in a conversational vortex. And then I went to Walmart. I had to get some milk because we get coupons, and I get milk for some people that I know that need it, and I'm more than willing to help. Otherwise, the milk goes to waste. We have all these milk coupons that never get given out, or guys don't use them because they're lactose, intolerant and all that. But anyway, thank you folks for tuning in to Dumbing It Down with Dave. My name is Dave Canyon. I am your one and only solo podcast host. And real quickly, I want to. This is the fastest podcast on earth, as we will be traveling on the New York State Thruway southbound in a matter of minutes. I may or may not let you know that we're on the Thruway, but right now we're on a back road headed towards the Thruway, leaving Walmart in Rensselaer, New York, right around the corner from where I work, at least for the duration until who knows, until the Titanic sinks, until the milk Titanic sinks. The farm, as some of us call it, just may close. We don't know. We have filed Chapter 11, and every day is a fascinating day in milk delivery history. All right, so it is. This show is all about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. And I try to dumb it down. I have a topic that we're going to discuss today. Something came up. I wish it didn't come up, but something did come up, and I have to say, in the most honest way possible, I'm glad it came up because it was a distraction from what I was originally feeling about 2 or 3 hours ago when I was doing all this extra work that seems to be left to me every Sunday. I mean, I gladly do it. Yes, I do get paid, but I was kind of like, I just want to go home. And I was like, I can't go home. I got this work to do. And if I don't do this work, then 4 or 5 guys that come in on Sunday nights will not be as prepared as they would have been. And I would want them to do it for me, right? Treat others as you would want others to treat you. And I know that chances are these favors will never be returned, right? But you can't do it for that reason, right? You just got to do it because you do it. And yes, I do get paid handsomely for these last few hours, but I got to tell you, man, 12 o'clock p.m., I'm first getting on the Thruway. I should have been home 2 or 3 hours ago. Anyway, if we all do a little, then we all do a lot. And more often than not, on Sundays, people do nothing. And that's okay. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I've heard every excuse. I've been here for 6 years. I've heard every excuse possible. And not just here at my job, but in my life. Why did I let go of all my depleters? We're not going to go down the depleter road, and we're not going to go down why I don't have friends road. But you know what? After a while, like you start hearing these excuses. You go, boy, that's so funny. I heard that excuse before. Or I heard a different excuse. It's like, no, you're all lying. You're all just say, Dave, I am not interested. Oh, that's honesty. But they're afraid to hurt my feelings. But they don't realize that everybody does that. Like, and by the way, if this was really a crappy podcast, I think I'd be the first one to know. I think, you know what? This is horrible. I don't like this. I'm not doing this anymore. If I thought I really wasn't funny, I never would have done stand-up comedy. I think I would recognize it. Although, we do have a term for people like that, and they're called delusional. There are a lot of people who are delusional. And yes, I have worked with them. I work with them now, and I've worked with them in stand-up comedy. I've worked with them in theater. I worked with them. I know these people. Delusional. I've been with parents who are delusional about the kids. Oh yeah, in a couple of years, I'm sure he'll be, he'll be going to college playing baseball. Then he'll go pro. I go, are you kidding me? You know who goes pro? Studs. Studs go pro. 6'2", 225 pounds, muscles, great fielder. College educated, all that. Your kid ain't going into the pros. I remember being in a bowling league. Oh yeah. One day I'll go pro. Really? Okay. Well, the odds of really achieving the paramount of any field to be at the top, nearly impossible. The odds are stacked against you. We're going to talk about odds in a couple of minutes here. But anyway, I just want to let you know that I know that this podcast is okie dokie. It's not great, not horrible. But when I have like a list of people, like constantly, oh, well, you know what? Shut up. You're lying. All right, enough. All right, enough about that, enough about this, enough about all that. Real quickly, I want to thank Alex Exum. That was my icebreaker. I just want to thank Alex Exum at the top of the show. He's the guy that does Here's Dave. He introduces the show. So thank you, Alex Exum, alexexum.com. Tuesday nights he does live talk. You'll hear that on Spreaker. He also does the Exum Experience. Also, you'll hear that on Spreaker. Look up alexexum.com, ALEXEXUM. And thank you to Linda from Awesome Insanity Surfers, not Surfers. Surfers, SURFERS. Awesome Insanity. You'll find that also here on Spreaker. She supplies the AI voices. And Hal in Philly. Hal in Philly does Tales of the Road Warriors podcast. And he also has a new podcast he just created called It's Easy When You Know How. It's Easy When You Know How. Both of those shows you can now find on Spreaker. Yeah. But one thing, Hal, I just want to say, I just noticed that this morning. We need more cowbell. All right?
The following program is rated
hold on
D
a second.
for dumb.
I don't have it give it a second. If I was to redo the song, I would do it in a CCR style. Here it goes. Here. We need more cowbell. We need more cowbell. That's all I'm saying. We need more cowbell. I would really love to be behind the kit, the drum set, to redo the song and really bang at that cowbell. Kind of like, what's that? Mississippi Queen. Really like tough. I want to hear a tough version, Hal. Let me be behind the kit for the tough version, the heavy, not heavy metal, just like really like CCR, but like. All right. Anyway, so thanks to all those people. Thanks to the Pats, Pat Mason and Pat Marucki. It's either Marucki or Maruki. Well, and thank you, Pat, both Pats, but thank you, Pat Marucki. That sounds Italian, so I'm going to go with Marucki. For doing all you do and being such a friend. I really, I'm amazed that it's taken me this long to get around to thanking you because you've been, pal, you're sharing all the time. When you get a chance, I know how life is for you. So you get it. And please say hello to your much prettier half, Randy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody's support. All right, let's get to it. Yeah, let's get to it. We're not going to waste any time today. So here's the unfortunate show. Did I cover it? I think I covered everything. All right, here's the unfortunate show. So this is kind of fascinating. New York Times article. You guys might already know about this. If not, let's discuss it. Uber, U-B-E-R, Uber, the ride share, whatever they want to call it. Uber says that 3,045 sexual assaults were reported in the United States rides last year. So, in other words, wherever Uber is in the United States, not in the world, in the United States, and from what I remember, there are 50 states. I do not know if that includes Puerto Rico and Guam, which I think are territories. I'm not down on the whole, all that stuff. But let's just assume there's 50 states, okay? Let's just assume. 3,045 sexual assaults were spread out on 50 states. That would be almost 61 sexual assaults per state. Now, you figure New York and California are pretty huge. So I bet you they got the lion's share. I don't have the breakdowns of this. I bet you if I had a staff, if I had interns or whatever, or if I just had time myself, I could break this down. Is it relevant? Well, where are you? Where are you right now? Do you take Uber? Have you taken an Uber? Will you take an Uber? Have you considered it? Uber, Lyft, all those, all right? But this is just an article on Uber. There's a little bit of Lyft in here, but this is just a little bit of Lyft, all right? So 3,045 sexual assaults in United States Uber rides last year, which would be 2018, okay? Now, along with that, you think that's it? Did you know this? Let me tell you this. By the way, I'm not proud of all this. I'm not happy about this, but I am saying this in an excited way because, if I just say it monotone, it comes out boring. You don't want to hear that. All right. So, not only were there 3,045 sexual assaults, and I don't know the criteria for sexual assault. I wish I knew what was the definition of a sexual assault, but I guess we could all just kind of assume the worst, right? What is the lightest, the easiest, sexual assault? I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is. But check this out. 9 people were also murdered, dead, muerto. And 58 were killed in crashes. That's a lot of people, folks. That is 967. That is 3,112. I think so. 3,112 people were affected negatively. Right? Don't they do the rating system? That's got to be some bad ratings. Now, I'm taking this very seriously, folks. I don't want you to think I'm making any fun of this. I'm not. The number of incidents represent a fraction. I love numbers. Just 0.0002% of Uber's 1.3 billion rides in the United States last year. So they're going to do this. Well, they're not really doing it badly, but that sentence is like that whole airport, that airline thing. When a Lufthansa flight or whatever goes down, 267 people are dead, and they go, airplane flight is still one of the safest in the world, if not the safest, because they do that comparative thing. They do the percentage, and I can't argue with that because I'm always saying 99% and all that other stuff. So 0.0002% is, let me see, the first zero is tens, the second zero is hundreds, the third zero is thousandths. Now, I think the fourth zero, you can tell, what was it? Was it geometry? All right, by March I was done, or February I was done with geometry, whatever this is. I don't know what this. Now, that's not geometry, is it? Algebra? It doesn't matter. So it's tenth, hundredths, thousandths. I think the fourth place, to the right of the the decimal point, I think that's 10 thousandths. I think it's 10 thousandths. I think. And then I think the next one would be hundredth thousandths. I think. But it doesn't matter. No, what measurement would you need to know that's that small? So anyway, 0.0002. That's pretty small, out of the 1.3 billion. But still, 1.3 billion, not million. But still, to the people, to the 3,112 people who were either sexually assaulted or no longer alive, that's no consolation to them. That's a lot of people, I think. It's still a lot of people. Listen, if you told me 500 people, or 450 were sexually assaulted, and 40, 9 were killed and 40 were... Wait, what was the other number? There was 3 numbers, right? Yeah. Let me just go back real quick. Oh, yeah. 9 people killed, 58... No. 9 people murdered, 58 killed. So if you pared it down where 3 people were murdered and 20 people were killed, still, that's like, wait a minute. Why is this happening in an Uber? Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, it just represents, they're saying that here, that it just represents basically the United States. All right, it says there are a few comparable figures to judge Uber's safety record against. New York Police Department, which keeps a register of sex crimes and rapes that occur on transit systems, counted 533 sex crimes and rapes on the transit system in 2018. But anyway, so there's a guy named Tony West. He is Uber's chief legal officer, and he says the numbers are jarring and hard to digest. So one of the things you take away from this article, by the way, when you read the whole thing, and I did read the whole thing, was that Uber is trying to be in front of this. They realize they have a problem. They're not hiding. They did disclose the numbers. Let's hope that they're honest numbers. I mean, let's hope they're too high. Let's hope it's actually lower. But, they're putting out numbers. And a lot of times companies will adjust. But they're not. They're saying 100%, these are the numbers. And they say, this guy Tony West says, he's the chief legal officer of Uber. He says that these numbers are a reflection of of the society that Uber serves. Okay, I'll buy into that. Okay, that's fine. Because, where are they hiring these people? Okay, well, that's a good question. And who's riding Uber? Well, that's a good question too. So, and it says here, I'm just going to try to read as little as possible, but I got to read some of it because I didn't have time to edit. Safety has been a long-running Achilles heel for ride-hailing companies, which depend on a large number of people using this service. Uber is deciding to be transparent about it, cataloging their sexual assaults, their murders, and crash fatalities. All right, so they realize that there's an issue here, that it really could hurt them, and it has hurt them, and I'll tell you in a second. All right. Now, when they started these companies, it says here that they were flouting regulations, and they were allowing almost anyone with a car to become an Uber driver, right, without screening and without the licenses that are required in the taxi industry. Now, for those of you that don't know, Uber has really destroyed the yellow taxi industry in New York City. I can't speak for the other 49 states, but I know for a fact that there have been taxi drivers, taxi owners, because there's a difference, who have committed suicide because in New York City, in order to own a taxi, you need to purchase a medallion. Not a medallion like Al Sharpton wears around his neck once upon a time. For those of you who know who Al Sharpton is and know that he used to wear a medallion around his neck. Not like an Olympic medal. It's this thing that you can only get from the Taxi Limousine Commission, the TLC, and it used to be, $5,000 years ago. Then it went up because owning a cab is a lucrative thing. If you could own 5 cabs or 10 cabs, you could rent them out. You could make a fortune, and a lot of people have. I would say, I don't know what percentage of the yellow cabs that you see driven in New York in the movies, TV shows, or live when you're there, most of those guys do not own those cabs. The cab owners are either retired or dead and have willed those medallions on to the next of kin. Those guys there, a lot of them are immigrants and newbies, and it's a whole new world. For years it was always actors and actresses, right? Like in the TV show Taxi, right? Remember that? Jeff Conway was an actor, and all those guys, they were all hired to drive other people's cabs. Anyway, medallions, in fact, I think medallions peaked at like $1 million. Like the last guy that bought a medallion bought it for like $1 million. Crazy number. Crazy number. I never would have bought one for $1 million. But I remember once upon a time, they were like $100,000, $200,000. It's like buying a business. And if you make a couple $100, and if you know how to run a cab, then you know how to make money. And if you rent it out and you buy more than one, then you're sitting home, you're just collecting money. It's a whole thing. Well, a lot of those cab drivers have since committed suicide. And I don't know how many, 5 of them, 10 of them, 50 of them, but it's been in the news in New York. I don't know, but I don't have time to look it up, but I know it's a decent amount. Hey, listen, if it's 5, it's a lot. Committing suicide because you're taking a financial hit, it's a big deal. Okay, so they ruined the cab thing. And now, if you know anything about New York, it's always been filled with traffic. It's always been heavy traffic because everywhere you look, there's cabs. If you stand on any major avenue, east side, west side, uptown, downtown, it's all yellow cabs. It's just, everybody's going somewhere. And there's still people who ride the train. And for some reason, people ride the bus. I don't know why. New York City buses, it's like the worst. You could walk faster than a bus. But now they've created all these bus lanes, so things have gotten better. Okay, anyway, but they've ruined the taxi industry, all right? I don't think they never should. I don't really... listen, I'm pro-progress, right? And I'm pro-capitalism, and I'm pro-technology, and all that good stuff. But I think New York City did not do Uber the right way. I think they should have done it really slow, and they should have found the balance. Try to create a balance and not kill these guys. They knew, everybody knew, that you were going to kill the medallion business. And you could have compensated these guys. You could say, all right, listen, guys, we're going to kill your medallion business, but guess what? We're going to make it up to you. All right? We don't want you committing suicide. They didn't do that. They said, too bad. Progress. You shouldn't have bought that medallion. Now you're screwed. That's kind of like, listen, it happens all the time, right? It's like, look at AT&T or whatever. Look at these phone companies. And once upon a time, we used to dial. And we used to have guys come to the house and they'd put a hole in the wall and they would run a wire and you would have to pay for that box, or you would rent it and then you'd have to pay for long distance and you pay by the minute. It was all these bills. Now, like, who has a hard line in their house? Nobody. I know one farm, one senior citizen couple in Saugerties still has a black rotary phone with a hard line. I think so. I haven't spoken to the daughter in a long time, but they own a farm in Saugerties. Right? It's things change. My job is going to be gone one day. They're going to have robots doing my job. So, whatever. Okay. Let me just check to see how much time I have left. Oh, wow. Boy, that went fast. Okay. So, let's get to this article a little bit more. Because there's some really interesting stuff here. And I'm not going to get to really what I really wanted to get to as far as Uber, because I might have to do a part two. In 2017, a woman was raped by her Uber driver in India. And she sued the company for obtaining and mishandling her medical records. And she later settled for undisclosed sum. This week, 19 women joined a lawsuit against Lyft, saying they had been sexually assaulted during rides arranged by the company. This is some craziness. And by the way, I used to be a car service driver, not yellow cab, car service. And then eventually, it was just a junky Dodge Dart. I worked for this company called Avenue J Car Service in Brooklyn. And then I drove a stretch limousine for a company called Manhattan Limousine in Manhattan. And I went all over. I drove a lot of executives, celebrities, all that. And you know something? These numbers are shocking to me in a way because, I'm Dave Canyon, so I'm never looking for trouble. But one thing I can tell you this. I perfectly, 100% always have and always will. I understand the driver-passenger agreement. I understand how it works. I barely make eye contact. With the limo, it was different. It was a little bit more personal. But I barely make eye contact. I don't say anything except, where to? Okay, there you go. And if I have, where, specifically, front, back, whatever. But there's no touching. There's no touching. You don't even get out of your seat. And with the limo, I had to get out and open the door. And I only would make contact if it was somebody who had trouble. Because sometimes these limos are weird, and these people are a little bit older or whatever. They had trouble getting out of the limo. It's different than a regular car. So you would reach in, and I would, if it was a lady especially, I'd help them get out. And, I would make sure they didn't hit their head on the way in, and whatever. But never anything else. And these guys, crazy that there'd be an issue. I mean, there's rape, there's murder, there's sexual assault, 3,112 people. That's really insane. There was a lot more numbers in here that were really shocking to me. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so both of these companies, listen to this. They had these stock offerings. Uber and Lyft are struggling financially. Both companies staged prominent initial public offerings that went on to disappoint on Wall Street. The companies are also losing enormous sums of money because of the continuous expense of attracting drivers, qualified drivers, and passengers, both of them. Last month, November, maybe it was October. Last month, Uber posted a quarterly loss of $1.2 billion. That's a lot of money to lose. Listen, man, you can't just put anybody behind the wheel of a car. Am I saying this because I'm a truck driver and I have a bias? You bet. You bet. You can't just put anybody behind the wheel of anything. I don't care if it's a forklift. People have to be trained. You have to have a certain intuition, like intuitive. You have to have a certain whatever. Say something French right now. You have to have that. That's if you don't have that, you're going to be in trouble. And you got to have some. You just got to know how to behave. I don't know how you get around to raping or murdering. All right. Anyway, but this report doesn't say anything about Uber's operations outside of the United States. This is only the United States. In Brazil, India, and elsewhere, murders and assaults stemming from ride-hailing services have been widely reported. And there's a company, I think, called Didi, D-I-D-I, Chuxing, C-H-U-X-I-N-G, suspended some of its services in China and fired executives last year after a female passenger was raped and killed. A passenger? I mean, why would you take the job at Uber? I mean, how long were these guys on the job before they did this? I mean, did they just say, hey, you know, this is a great way to meet women and assault them? See, I have a hard time with that. You would think, oh yeah, I want this job because I got to make money. I got a family to support. Or even if you're just a guy all by yourself, I got to pay the rent. I'm not going to put myself in danger of going to prison. Why would I do that? That's why I don't understand how guys behave. I just don't understand. All right, here's some interesting stuff. I hope I have time for this. Let me see. Let me just check, because if I have to, I'll do a part 2. Okay, real quickly. Let's do this. This is some interesting stuff. The report covered the safety of both riders and drivers. Murder victims were drivers, passengers, and third parties. So those 9 people that got murdered, I think it was 9, were drivers, passengers, and third parties. In cases of rape, maybe I'll explain the third party in a second. In cases of rape, Uber said 92% of the reported victims were riders. 8% were not riders. Drivers reported other types of sexual assaults at roughly the same rate as riders. Uber says it cataloged 2,936 sexual assaults in 2017. 3,045 in 2018. Okay, ranging from unwanted kissing of what it called a non-sexual body part. Sexual assaults can be kissing of what it called a non-sexual body part to attempted rape and rape. The largest category was non-consensual touching of a sexual body part, like someone's mouth or genitals. Jeez. I mean, I don't know how do you get out from your seat and go, hey, look, give me that mouth, I want to touch it. Where's your genitals? Just sit in the seat and hit the button on the phone and then end the ride. What are you doing? All right, the number of fatal crashes related to Uber trips was 49 in 2017 and 58 in 2018. They went up 9 fatal crashes. The statistics included accidents that occurred outside Uber vehicles, such as when a passenger was struck after exiting a ride, and crashes in which Uber drivers were not at fault. Uber disclosed 10 murders in 2017, 9 in 2018. Oh, they're going down. They're trending downward. 7 victims were drivers. 8 were passengers, and 4 were third parties like bystanders outside the Uber vehicle. All right, listen, I can go on and on about this, but that's some crazy stuff. That is some crazy information. And I got to tell you, one rape is one rape too many. If it was my wife or my daughter or, well, listen, it could be a guy, right? They didn't break that down, but, it's too many. You can't just put anybody behind the wheel. You got to have some criteria. You got to do something. And this is not good for anybody, by the way. Not good for anybody. All right, it's a bad year to be a man. It's a bad last couple of years. It's been tough, right? Horrible. We're behaving badly. I'll see you next show. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, Godspeed, good racks, and great skills. Take care.